Hi everyone, welcome back to Maximum Attack Rallying. Quick apology to begin with, I don't have the microphone available, so I apologise if the sound isn't amazing today. I will try and speak a little bit more loudly so I'm as clear as possible, enunciate and all that stuff. So hopefully it's okay. Hopefully you've also watched the video about the new car. If you haven't, do go and check that out. I will have a link at the end of this video for that. Maybe I'll put a link in the description as well if I remember. So this week's vlog, I will try and make a quick one because there's just a couple of little things I wanted to share. Obviously we're waiting for the international rally season to kick off again. Monte Carlo's in 3 weeks. So I've got a little bit of time before we get to that, which is interesting. But a bit boring, hate waiting. Dakar actually starts this week here in Saudi Arabia, of all places. So if you're into that, obviously that's something to look forward to. There should be lots going on there. I'm not the biggest follower of it, but perhaps I should be as I live here. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I wanted to give you a quick update on the whole sim racing situation because, as always, I've been tinkering with my setup a little bit, and most of those changes revolve around this, which just looks like a black square. It is not a black square. There we go. I'll put some pictures in as well so you can see what I'm talking about. This is a drive hub. So if you are a sim racer and you play on console, one of the things you will know is that if you start with a more entry-level wheel arrangement, such as a Logitech like I use, you can't have a separate handbrake. And if you're into rallying, that's a bit of a problem. I guess it is if you like playing drifting games as well. Are there any specific drifting games? I don't know if there are, but there are drift events in certain racing games, aren't there? So that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Because not everyone wants to fork out for an expensive Fanatec or Thrustmaster wheel. So I was looking for a solution and someone suggested the Drive Hub to me. So I ordered one from the UK, which was very expensive. This itself is £90, which isn't too bad, but the shipping was £50 because shipping stuff to Saudi Arabia is expensive. So what this allows you to do is mix and match. So you can use any wheel with any console. So if you've got a PlayStation designed Logitech, for example, you can plug it into an Xbox through this Drive Hub. And it also allows you to add accessories. So you can add a handbrake to a wheel that doesn't support a wheel usually, which is what made it so interesting for me. And I've been experimenting with it, but I've been having some problems. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to share. And I think the best way for me to probably do that is to get the boring bit out of the way and talk about how to plug it in. Because if you are an Xbox user, you will definitely want to know this. So let's start by having a look at the ports on the back of the box. Now what you will see if you look at the back of the Drive Hub, it has 4 connection ports. Obviously you'll be able to see in the picture, which I'll just leave up while I go through them. So on the far left, as you look at the back of it, you've got the console port, which plugs into the console, obviously. Then you've got one called controller, which is just for your games controller. Then you've got wheel/controller, and then you've got accessory, which is for handbrakes. Now, this is the crucial bit. If you read the instructions for the Drive Hub, it tells you, firstly, to plug everything in apart from the console. And then once the console is switched on and everything else is connected, you plug the console into the Drive Hub and it lights up and starts to work. The problem I was having is that when I did that, because it suggests that you have to have an Xbox controller plugged into it for it to work, it didn't work. It kind of recognized the handbrake sometimes, but the wheel didn't work properly. So on Dirt 2.0, I had no steering at all. And on EA WRC, I had steering, but it was very stiff. So it was like the force feedback was just constant all the time, maximum. So turning the steering wheel, even when you weren't in game, was very heavy. So it it didn't work. Now, I contacted the company that makes this, Collective Minds, and they've come back to me and found a solution and told me the solution. And I'm a bit confused because I thought I tried this because I did do some research online, and somebody online said don't plug the wheel into the wheel port, plug it into the controller port, and you don't need the Xbox controller plugged into the drive hub. Now, I tried that and it didn't seem to make much difference. However, this week, after Collective Mind suggested it again, I tried it again and it worked. So this is the key takeaway from this video. If you are using this device here, this one, with an Xbox, and you so that you can have a handbrake with your lower spec wheel, plug the wheel into the standard controller port. Do not plug it into the wheel controller port. Do not plug a regular Xbox controller into the controller port, because it won't work. So then, now we've got over that issue, that has allowed me to connect a handbrake, and I decided to go, which completely defeats the object, I know, having gone for an entry-level wheel and this. I ended up buying a really expensive handbrake in the Thrustmaster TSS. The reason for that, so Collective Minds had told me that it definitely would work, which was very important. And I could have bought one of these cheap USB handbrakes off eBay or Amazon, of which there are lots, but I didn't want to risk that, because the thing for me is with where I'm located, everything is expensive, so shipping is really expensive, so I didn't want to have to buy something twice. I didn't want to buy one of the cheap USB handbrakes and it show up and not work, because you can't just return stuff like that very easily here, because a lot of stuff has to be shipped from outside. So I ended up just going straight for the Thrustmaster one, which was a lot more expensive, but I knew it worked. And it does work. It's a really nice unit. It's heavy, and it just seems to work really, really well. I haven't learned to use it yet. I am terrible at handbrake turns in EAWRC. But there we go. I will say, on the subject of it working, I am talking about EA Sports WRC. For some reason, for me, it does not work in Dirt 2.0. So I connect everything up, open the game. If I go into the binding settings within Dirt 2.0, I can bind the handbrake function to the Thrustmaster handbrake. But as soon as you go in game, you can start driving, everything's fine. You pull the handbrake and then it loses the connection to the wheel. And I don't know why that is. I've asked Collective Minds why that might be happening, but as of today, I haven't had a response because I only sent it yesterday. So we'll have to wait for that one, and I will update. It's a little bit frustrating because I do still like playing Dirt 2.0. I'm not solely playing EA Sports WRC, but right now, if I want to use a handbrake, I will have to stick to EA Sports WRC, and I just have to learn how to use it, because right now my handbrake turns are incredibly clumsy. The last thing I do want to talk about in this video, though, is a little update to my shifter. So you will see in the video that I will put in that I have modified the shift knob yet again. So previously I had been messing with this because I wanted something that felt a little bit more realistic, because I don't think the little plastic ball thing on the top of the Logitech shifter feels that realistic. And obviously with my high quality hair tie sequential mod, I wanted something that felt kind of good as a sequential, but also good if you have it in H pattern mode, because I do tend to switch between the two. Which is why, by the way, I use the hair tie sequential mod and not one of the nice 3D printed things. They're great, I'm sure. I haven't tried one, and I would like to try one. However, for me, I just don't like the idea of having to remove the top piece of the shifter and switch every time I want to change between sequential and H pattern. To me, that just seems unnecessary. So the hair tie solution, while it looks, it looks crappy, it works really well, and you can just pop the hair ties off and you're back in H pattern mode. So it's really easy to switch. But anyway, I originally added kind of a tall aluminium shifter knob, and it was okay. I think in sequential mode it probably was an improvement over the Logitech, but when you're using in H pattern mode it felt a bit weird. I know a lot of people have those gear knobs on their cars. You see them a lot on Japanese modified cars, but I don't know why, because I didn't like it. I didn't get on with it. It was better, but it didn't quite work. So I ordered a nylon type shift knob from the UK, from I think it was Motormech, but it's very similar to the Quaife gear knob, which is, if you've ever been inside a competition car, you've probably seen one. And I also ordered a little adapter, so that adapter screws into the top of the shift lever, and converting that tiny thread, I can't remember what size it is, it converts it to an I think it's M12 by 1.5 thread, if I remember rightly, which is pretty universal. But there are options for that adapter. I'll try and find a picture of it. I ordered it from AliExpress and it was really cheap. And that just allowed me to screw on this kind of universal nylon gear knob, and that is amazing. That is one of the best things I've done. It feels so much more realistic. I know there are modifications you can do to the shifter itself to make it a bit stiffer, which I understand, but I think as it is, especially in sequential mode, it feels really, really nice. So if you have a Logitech shifter, I would really recommend ordering a little adapter and ordering one of those Motormech or Quaife gear knobs and fitting it, because it just adds a little bit to the feeling of immersion. So I think we will wrap this one up there. Just to keep it relatively short, I wanted to share that, especially the thing about the ports on the back here, which you probably can't see. As I said, main takeaway, if you're using Drivehub on Xbox, do not plug your wheel into the wheel/controller port, plug it into the controller port. And you will have a working handbrake and your life will be good. And adding a handbrake is cool and does make the whole thing cooler. One thing I should just mention, actually, you might have noticed it when I put a clip up earlier of how everything is set up. I do need to make some modifications. So with the way I've mounted the handbrake, I've used the standard next level shifter mounting and added a plate to that, so that the handbrake can sit kind of next to the shifter. That is not stiff enough. You will see in that clip that when you pull the handbrake, the whole thing twists a little bit. Because the Thrustmaster handbrake is quite stiff, to try and make it realistic. I need to have a look at that. It's okay, but it just makes it feel a little bit less solid. So that is definitely top of my list of things to look at next. I do also have, as a little sneak peek, an adapter to fit a 350mm wheel to the Logitech base. But that's something to look at in a future video, I think. So there we go, we'll wrap up there. I wanted to keep this one relatively short, but it's probably not, because they never are. I do appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoy this sim racing content, because I just like mixing it up a little bit, because I think a lot of people out there who like rallying play these games, so it might be useful to some of you. And next week, normal service will probably resume with some talk about rallying itself. So as always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode.